Namaskar. Today we are going to talk about this remedy Berberis Vulgaris from Dr. N M Choudhuri's Materia Medica, and this remedy belongs to the family Berberidaceae, to which also belongs Colophilum and Podophyllum. Okay, and the active principle of this remedy is berberina, and its main action, as you can see, is on the kidneys, upon which, especially on the left side of the kidney, cause. And what does it cause? Acting on the kidneys, it causes renal calculi, as you can see. So this renal calculi is there on the in the left side of the kidneys especially, and it causes a lot of pain, which is again stitching, cutting type of pain. This kind of pain is actually found everywhere in this remedy. As we go ahead, you will see that this kind of pain you will find in the gallbladder, in the female reproductive system, etc. Okay, so we have to remember this pain, which is stitching, cutting pain found in this remedy. And the modality of this pain will be that it will be aggravated on least movement. It will be aggravated on least movement, and the kind of pain that the extension of the pain will be that it will start in the kidneys, it will go into the ureter, then into the bladder, and then into the urethra. So it will travel all along the course of the urine. This pain will be there all along the course of the urine. Okay, and what will be the concomitant? So they have a very important kind of thing in Berberis, which is lumbago, which is back pain. So there can be back pain, there can be numbness, stiffness of the back. Okay, so all of these things can be associated along with renal calculi. So, but in Berberis vulgaris, we find the major action on renal system, in which it causes calculi, which is mostly left-sided. Stitching kind of a pain is there, which originates from the kidneys, going to the ureters, and then into the bladder, and then into the urethra. The modality is that it will be aggravated by least movement, so they cannot move. There will be numbness, stiffness, pain in the back along with it. Now, this pain can go all through the pelvis, into the hip, and down into the testicles as well. This whole thing can happen, and the urine will be greenish, bloody, turbid, full of slimy mucus. You can find this kind of urine as well, and this is not only associated with renal calculi. This urine is generally associated with even the gallbladder thing, because it is greenish urine, so it shows us that it might be having bile in it, which is a situation when you kind of have gallbladder stones, which is a very important thing in this remedy. So calculi is a very important thing. So first, right now we're talking about renal calculi, right? We're talking about calculi in the kidneys, but we also have calculi in the gallbladder in this remedy, right? So this is the liver, right? This is the liver, and this over here, this green thing over here, is a gallbladder, as we all know. So so stones in the gallbladder as well as stones in the kidneys. So now let's go ahead and talk about the stones in the biliary system in the gallbladder. So over here, there are again stones formed, which will obstruct the flow of bile. As you know, mechanically, that is what happens when there are stones in the gallbladder, and they kind of obstruct. They're in the duct, and they might sometime obstruct, or not obstruct also, but sometimes they can obstruct the flow of bile, which will lead to jaundice, right? Because there is no bile going into the intestines, it will accumulate, and it will eventually come into your blood, then leading to finally jaundice. And since it is not going to your intestines, so your stools will not be very colored like they are usually colored, and they will become clay colored. So the pigment will be less big, because the pigment in your stools is because of the bile, so that will be reduced. So first of all, you will have colic because of the biliary calculi, which will be followed by jaundice. And how can you see jaundice? Because if stools are clay colored, your skin will turn yellow, etc. And the pain will be in the right hypochondrium. As you all know that the liver is on the right side, and the gallbladder is also on the right side because of that, and hence the pain will be on the right side in biliary calculi. And on the kidney, acting on the kidneys, we had seen that there was left-sided renal calculi in Berberis vulgaris, right? Now this pain over here in biliary calculi is again the same type of pain, that is violent stitching kind of pain. Okay, so as we've talked already about this, so we've seen that there is stitching, cutting type of pain in this remedy. So even in the gallbladder, we see that there is stitching type of pain. Now this pain is so violent that it causes him to hold his breath. that amount of pain they'll have even in the gallbladder colic. Usually when the gallbladder obstructs, the pain is too much, the pain is violent. Okay, so that kind of a situation can be there. Sometimes you can find that along with this situation, the concomitant can be fistula in ano. So anal fistula, or sometimes it can be a troublesome short cough. So it can be there along with this whole thing. Okay, so that is all about the biliary calculi. Now we'll see some general features of this remedy. So the characteristic appearance of this remedy will be that they will have sunken cheeks, their eyes will be deeply embedded in the sockets with deep blue margins around, the complexion will be pale grey and earthy. So all these features might be there, and patient will keep complaining of constant pain and suffering because there is a lot of violent kind of pain in both these pathologies anyway. So that will be there in this patient. In the mind, you see that these patients are extremely anxious, fretful, and worry, which will happen to anybody experiencing such kind of violent pains, right? Yeah, so that is about the major action of the remedy, that is on the renal calculi and the biliary calculi. Now, moving ahead, we'll talk about the three very important characteristics of this remedy, which Dr. N M Choudhuri puts forward. And these characteristics are actually something that Dr. N M Choudhuri gives for every remedy that he talks about, right? So, let's see what he writes about in Berberis Vulgaris. Okay, so the first thing that he writes about is wandering, radiating pain that we find in this remedy. So the pain keeps on. So just like we've seen while talking about renal calculi, the pain is going to the hips, even going to the testicles. So the pain is radiating, the pain is wandering. We see that the pain may start in the kidneys, going to the bladder, going to the hip, going to the thighs, as we just now I told you about it. And when we talked about biliary calculi, and the pain might be in the liver under the border of the false ribs, and there's right-sided abdominal pain, and this is just in general written, but in any way you'll see that these kinds of pain in this remedy which will be wandering, which will be radiating. Then the second important thing is a very very characteristic and very different, unique, peculiar kind of a situation and a sensation, that is a feeling of bubbles. So a bubbling feeling, okay, a bubbling feeling as if water were coming through the skin in the joints and other parts. So in the joints and in the other parts in the skin, they feel like bubbles are coming up. Okay, so this is a very, very different kind of a sensation that you must remember, because you don't actually know for it to be there in any other remedy, and any other common remedy. So there's this bubbling feeling. So they feel as if that through their joints, through the skin, there's water that is coming up. There's bubbles forming. That kind of a situation is there. And there is a sensation of a tight cap pressing on the whole of the scalp. So that kind of a situation is also there. So the three characteristics are that there is wandering, radiating pain, there is this bubbling feeling which is very peculiar, and then there's this sensation of tight cap pressing on the whole scalp. Now, this remedy also acts on the female reproductive system, on the female parts, and over here we see that there are menstrual symptoms in these patients. Okay, so menstrual symptoms are there, and along with these menstrual symptoms, you again find the very characteristic of this remedy, which are the urinary difficulties. Okay, so urinary difficulties itself becomes something that will be associated with the other complaints in this remedy, because it's a major action of this remedy. And with this, as you all know, the very characteristic pains of this remedy, which will be sticking or stitching, as you whatever you call it, radiating, as we have seen just now, radiating pains. So that will also be there in this remedy. Vagina is greatly, very, very sensitive in this remedy, and so there is sensitiveness and there is soreness of vagina. So this is what we find in the female system. Menstrual symptoms plus urinary difficulty plus sticking, radiating pains, and vagina sensitive and sore. Now when we talk about another major area of action of this remedy, which is the back. In the back, we see that the pain again extends from the back, round the body, down to the thigh. So we find this kind of radiating, extending kind of pains in this remedy, right? So that is again seen in the back as well. It is going down into the thigh, round the body. And now we also find again the same modality while talking about lumbago, which is that the pains are aggravated by movement and by fatigue. So that was also the modality that we saw while we were talking about the renal calculi situation, and that is again seen in the lumbago as well. So this is also a general characteristic modality of this remedy. Now finally, so this is all about the remedy, by the way, because the remedy is very small remedy, but it has a very characteristic action on kidneys, on gallbladder, etc., as we talked about. So now Dr. Guernsey actually in Dr. N M Choudhuri's Materia Medica very beautifully explains the whole thing in a short para itself. So let's see what he talks about. Okay, and we find over here Dr. Guernsey's admirable summing up of Berberis is worth reading and is as follows. Okay, so it affects particularly the lumbar region, kidneys, uterus. The patient is sometimes unable to tell the exact locality, but the pain is somewhere in the back and shoots up the back or into the spermatic cord or testes, bladder, buttocks, or legs. So, this is the kind of pain. It is radiating, extending, wandering pain. The pain may shoot up or down or both ways. Pains may be felt all over the body, emanating from the back. The pains are of a sticking, pricking, lancinating, or jerking character, flying about now here and now there. So there is mainly the pain is emanating from the back. Again, there are kidneys in the back, right? And the major action of this remedy is on the kidneys. So that is also a very important reason for the lumbago of this remedy. And then there is that is the main reason of lumbago of this remedy. And then there is often a bubbling sensation in the region of the kidneys. This sensation may occur elsewhere, but it is usually found here. So in this way, Dr. Guernsey, in a very small paragraph, actually sums up the characteristics, the everything of this remedy, right? The sensation of the bubbling, feeling, and everything of this remedy. So that's about Berberis vulgaris, and let's meet another day for another remedy.